Hey guys, today we're doing another topic video. I really like talking about movies that I may have really loved when I was younger, really spoke to me, and then I see them at a later point in my life and I think, why did I like that? Why did I praise this so much? This is crap. And it's always interesting to kind of look at why that is. Maybe it has to do with where you are in your life, or maybe it was just never a good movie to begin with. So that is the topic this week, is movies that didn't age well. But before we get into that, I'm going to plug my website as always. It is deepfocuslens.com. I am an artist. I do commission portraits and I sell prints of my work. If that is something that you're interested in, you can always go to the website below. And if you have a question about a commission or a print, you can always email me. My email is in the description box below as well. Alrighty, we will begin with the first. As a young boy, I used to love and be obsessed with Superman 1978. Me too. While this movie won't ever lose its deserved iconic flair, and despite the fact that Christopher Reeve wore the most memorable Superman costume put to screen, too much of the story and too many special effects are too silly for me to ever again enjoy it the way I once could. Interesting. I partially agree with you. Partially. I love Superman as well, and I think the power of it is the nostalgic factor. I think Richard Donner is one of the few people that really captures that in a way that is special. Like he has his own brand, his own auteur style of superhero filmmaking that is light, cartoony, breezy, and it matches, to me, the comic book world more than anybody ever did beyond that when it comes to live action. And I do feel like he's the one that gets the nostalgia closest to what I personally want, closest to my childhood. But it was also a different time. People put a lot more effort into the movies back then, just in terms of crafting them. And I actually really like the special effects of the movie. Yeah, are they dated? Certainly they are. But I think that adds to the charm of it. I think that nostalgic factor, all of that actually makes it more interesting, more charming the older that I get. The older that I get, I am charmed by a lot of elements of it. I just love Lex Luthor in this. I think it is the best Lex Luthor that ever was. I wish he was utilized a little bit better, though. I did just watch this movie very recently, so that is why it is on my mind. But where I do agree with you is in the silliness of the plot. It does get really tough. Suspension of disbelief can only carry so far, and I really do believe that. And with this film, it's like, I'm stretching the logic, and at a certain point in the third act, I'm like, it's giving way. I can't. Superman might be this boy wonder who isn't conflicted in the same ways as like Batman, we'll say, but it's like, this movie provides some very interesting dilemmas for him. It's like, he wants to be amazing, he wants to do all these things, but it's like he also needs to protect his anonymity to a degree. And so like, that's very interesting. More than that, it's like grappling with the responsibilities of being a god. And I don't know, there's something about the way that this movie ends, especially when, spoiler alert, when Lois dies, and it's like he wants to save her, and he plays God in this moment. It's very sour for me, not only because it leads to a million plot holes, and suddenly the rest of the film that we've built up to just doesn't make sense anymore, but it also feels very counterintuitive of the ideas of what it means to be a hero, especially for Superman. So yes, that felt a little bit sour for me. And as I said, I do wish that Lex Luthor had been used a little bit more here. There's a lot of comic relief, but yet you don't feel him as a menacing presence in the same way I think you do in other versions. And then maybe in Superman 2, obviously, he's a bigger part of that. But yeah, it's the plot issues here, especially at the end, the plot holes, good lord. But that certainly does create a little bit of a break for me, a little bit of a disconnect where I am removed from it a little bit, and I wish that I weren't. But having said all that, I still love the movie. It still has a real, special place in my heart. Scoop by Woody Allen. I had watched it with my parents when it came out. I was 10 at the time, and I thought that the gags with the dead guy appearing during the magician's number were the funniest shit ever. I rewatched with friends when I was 18, 19, and I cringed so hard. Oh my God. Okay, we have practically the same story, though I wasn't 10 years old, but I think when Scoop came out, I must have been a teenager. I was probably like 14, maybe 15, I don't know. And it was the first Woody Allen movie I had ever seen. And I guess if you've never seen a Woody Allen film, I don't know. I guess there was something about it. I agree with you. I thought the humor was great. I liked the film because it was extremely dark, but it had, such an interesting tone to it. And I remember really praising it, but I've never seen it since. And of course, since then, I've seen a million Woody Allen movies. So many Woody Allen movies. I have no idea how I will feel about it if I return to it. That said, a lot of people at the time when I saw it were like, this is not very good. I'm like, what? You don't like it? How could you not like it? And they're like, this is nothing compared to other Woody Allen films. I don't know, like it'll be really hard for me to know until I see it again. But based on what people said, and certainly people that I trust, and what you're saying here, I absolutely believe that you could be right, that this kind of dark mystery sort of idea is maybe not Woody Allen at his most fresh and his most sophisticated. But that is also interesting too. It's like, what if you see a movie by a famous filmmaker, like a really, really great filmmaker, and maybe it's their worst film, but you don't have any context? It's like, maybe you'll really like it. Literally, The Last Jedi, for me, it aged like bad milk, which really sucked because in the theater, I really had fun and enjoyed myself. But the more I rewatched the movie, the more its flaws became not just apparent, but monstrously unacceptable. And unfortunately, for me, it not only ruined a happy memory, but the entire sequel trilogy, as after I had my realization of all its problems, I just couldn't revisit it in the same way. I mean, I could go on all day about The Last Jedi. Seriously, I could. I feel like I want to break that movie down moment by moment because I just think it's a travesty. I really do think, but it's a unique travesty because I can see why certain people like certain elements of it, because I admit there are certain things I admire about it. I admire the ambition to do something darker, to push in a different direction, to kind of change the course of where Star Wars needs to go. All that kind of stuff can be intriguing if done well. And this looks gorgeous. I just talked about all of this recently, so it's, fresh on my mind, but it's gorgeous. It looks like a Kurosawa film. It has like a Ron kind of look to it, and that's amazing. I mean, really, when it comes to the artistry, I commend everybody who worked on these films, but especially The Last Jedi. But it's just, the film itself is just so awful. And I feel like any sort of subversive tactics that it's using, it's doing it in a way where it's almost like it's trying to play a prank on you. It's like they build up to something and then, we just drop off the side of the earth. And so there's no tension building. And a lot of the characters, we have interesting areas we could take them in based on where we are left in The Force Awakens. And they just lead to more confusion. A lot of it feels like time wasting when this is the moment when things need to get really gritty and really interesting. I do like, some of the stuff with Rey and Kylo Ren. I like that blending ambiguity of dark side and such. I wish more had been made of that. Say what you will about the prequels, when it comes to writing, when it comes to building characters, when it comes to creating a world that makes sense, this is way better than something like The Last Jedi. We're spoon-feeding to the audience what kind of movie that we are, rather than giving it to us in an organic way. And yeah, stuff like that just really bothers me. And I'm sorry, but I just hate this trend of where we take all of these heroes from previous famous films like Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, and they have some sort of dignity. They have these special arcs, and it's as if none of them existed, and now they're just has-beens who hate everybody, and it's the young people that have to show them, the way again. And I feel like that just feels really like self-important, and it doesn't make any sense. It's like, I can believe that Luke Skywalker might be melancholy, like he might have lost a step, certainly, but a lot of these decisions are completely out of character for him. And it just felt like a dud. So much of the tension in this movie, it just builds to a point and then it becomes a dud. And it's so insulting. This film destroyed the original legacy of Star Wars and, takes it in different directions. It's like, okay, that could be interesting, but based on what we get at the end of this, the future looks dire. And I think that's an incredible metaphor. And The Last Jedi, yes, I do see it as the final nail in the coffin of Star Wars as we knew it. The final nail in the coffin of Star Wars being something special. I dug American Beauty when I saw it back in middle school. By the time I was 19 or so, I realized that it's an attempt at deconstructing picturesque Americana that does it with about as much subtlety as a literal bull in a china shop. The protagonist is underwritten and the supporting characters even more so, for as much as it postures about provocative look at what goes on behind closed doors. It's ultimately an inoffensive film that never goes beyond the surface. No wonder it won an Oscar. Yeah, I mean, I reviewed it. It's a controversial review. A lot of people disagree with me, but I agree with everything you're saying here. It's a film that is overly simplistic and thinly sketched, and yeah, it feels very much like a movie of its time, and it's, certainly capturing all kinds of different topical issues of the time when it comes to social satire. There are so many films that create dark irony in a way that is much more interesting than this. I don't think that this film is interesting really at all. And I think that the older that you get, the more that you realize this. I do think it's really one of those things that it was perfect for the time. And then it just doesn't quite have the emotional weight that it would later on. I don't think it's a horrendous film because there are certain things about it that certainly touched a nerve. There's certain elements, pieces of it that I think are actually kind of beautiful. It's well made to a degree, but it just feels very artificial and just incredibly shallow. And not in a way that, like, I know a lot of people say that's the point of it. And I'm like, no, I mean, yes, it is supposed to be that way, but I think this is in a way that's missing a little bit of that irony. But again, think about the time. It came out in 1999, a time when all kinds of movies like that were coming out. Movies like, Fight Club and The Matrix, as I say, as examples, where we're talking about like this lifestyle of like 90s suburban living. And this one just had everything packaged to you in a way that was easy and it looks lovely. And so it's like, I totally get why, as you say, it won the Oscar for that year. I always thought it was a film that most people saw as not aging well, but then when I reviewed it, I realized, no, there's actually quite a few fans of the film. Yeah, I mean, when it comes to what you're saying, totally agree with you. I really love Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, but I sort of grow to dislike it because of how it deals with the theme of racism. I find it tried to be about racism even though none of the main characters are black. So it feels like McDonough is trying to make it relevant or something. Sam Rockwell does play a racist cop in the movie, but that's about as far as the film goes. He's racist, but it's not really meaningful because there are no meaningful black characters he's interacting with, so it feels hollow. It didn't teach me anything about racism, and it didn't make me think differently about it, and the theme is sort of half-assed and it feels tacked on without any substance or intelligence. God, I'm starting to sound like you, if I do say so myself. Just need more practice. I hate that movie. I saw it, I think, around the time it won the Oscar, right before it won the Oscar, and I thought, yeah, this is not good. I really thought it was just really second rate, and it's like you want a better film with much more intact themes that are much more funny and interesting. It's like watch a Coen Brothers movie. And I haven't seen it since it came out, so it's like I don't even really remember a lot of the things that happen in the film, but Sam Rockwell absolutely stood out to me as a character that I just really didn't like. Not because of the way that Sam Rockwell played him. I think he's a fantastic actor. He did a really good job. It's just the character itself. It felt very, very forced. And that's just the truth. I mean, I don't remember so much the racism and everything as you're describing it. I'm sure you're right about it, but it just feels like an element there out of obligation. It's like you really could make that character interesting. Like in The Last Jedi, it's like everything has to be a statement. Nothing really just evolves organically, like the way you're supposed to tell stories. But yes, what I remember about the Sam Rockwell character is he just felt very underwritten and also not very well written. And I don't know, I was very disappointed in that. But yeah, how do people feel about this movie? I think this is the only person who wrote in about this one that I saw, at least. But how do people view Three Billboards anymore? Does it hold up? I mean, I know at the time it got a lot of critical acclaim, and I knew a lot of people that actually liked it. Do people still like it? I'd be interested to know that. But yeah, those are just a few of the responses from you guys, and go ahead and give me some more in the comments. I'd like to hear. But that is the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Over here you will see my patrons who are wonderful. Thank you guys so much for your support. If you are interested in supporting, the link for that is below, as well as the rest of my social media information. You can watch more videos here, and you can subscribe if you'd like. Catch you next time.